Now, when I started this show, The Arena, people emailed me with their requests for their favourite guests, you know, Ann Coulter, Mike Stein, and so on. Well, we've had them on, and we'll have plenty more people on. But one name that came up again and again was Pamela Geller, the American blogger and writer who has stood up to Islamic extremism. And we've got her on the show. Welcome to you.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
First question, is there such a thing, and what is meant by Islamophobia?
Islamophobia is a fictitious term. It's a construct. According to Abdir Muhammad, who was present at the International Institute of Islamic Thought, a Muslim Brotherhood group, he was present when, and I quote him, in the bowels of Muslim think tanks, this thought exterminating device was invented, was created to bash critics of Islam. What it is a device to enforce the Sharia. Under the Sharia, there are blasphemy laws. You cannot offend Islam, you cannot insult Islam, you cannot criticize Islam. We know that in Muslim countries, blasphemers are put to death. They're assassinated. Here in the West, your character is assassinated. You are demonized, marginalized, and rendered, radioactive. But it is a false construct, and so I pay it absolutely no mind.
It's interesting you say that. As we speak, I haven't got the latest news, but an Iranian man who became a Christian from Islam is being promised, or public execution by the Iranian authorities. People are trying to work to save this man's life. But it's very interesting what you say, because there are those, well, useful idiots, I suppose. There are those Christians and Jews and others who are embracing this law that some are talking about that would make the offence of all religion illegal. You see this in Europe, for example. You mustn't offend any religion. Now, the people behind it, of course, are all Muslim. I don't care if religions are offended. That's people's right. But a lot of people who are non-Muslim are going along with this, thinking it's all goodwill and liberalism. You know what I mean, don't you?
I know exactly what you mean, and it's certainly not accidental, Michael. You're talking about the Organization of Islamic Conference. The Organization of Islamic Conference, now called Cooperation, is an organization at the UN. It's 56 Muslim countries plus the Palestinian Authority. And frankly, it is the modern-day universal caliphate. They are behind these blasphemy laws. When they say defamation of religion, it's only one religion. It's only Islam. We see in America, you can have Jesus Christ snorting coke on a comedy show. You can make fun of, Jewish payas and so on and so forth. But you cannot even say the name Muhammad on South Park. You cannot even, put Muhammad in a Huggy Bear costume. It's under the guise of a defamation of religion. Just as the hate speech laws are again, it's a euphemism for enforcement of the Sharia. This is Sharia compliance. It's not even political correctness. It's Sharia compliance. And that's why I wrote this book, Stop the Islamization of America, a practical guide to the resistance, because you have to know what's happening. It's sort of like the American people, this is my perspective, of course, are like Helen Keller and Somebody Moved the Furniture. And this book is sort of a pair of glasses in which to see the world and what's going on, the mosquing of the workplace, the mosquing of the public school, the U.S. Treasury Department giving seminars in Islamic finance a week after we nationalized some banks. We're seeing this increasingly, and it must be pushed back, because this is not a religious issue. This is a political issue, because, of course, as you know, it's a complete system. Islam, yes, is a religion, but it's a political, legal, cultural, sociological, dietary, and so on and so forth. But because it has this aspect of religion to it, it seems to be, untouchable. Well, that's wrong. It's very touchable, and we have to push back. It's just that simple. In Europe and here in Canada,
we've mocked Americans for their obsession with freedom. They so cherish and relish their freedom. If you're giving it up, then what does that say for the rest of the world?
I don't believe we are giving it up. I don't believe Americans are giving it up. Do I believe our political elites have given it up and looking in the rearview mirror? I absolutely do. Do I think the media is Sharia compliant, will not offend Islam, will not speak about the ideology that inspired close to 20,000 attacks, Islamic attacks since 9/11? Yes, absolutely. But, we have witnessed this before, Michael. The left loves whatever totalitarian ideology there is of the day. If it wasn't Stalinism, it was communism, not communism, National Socialism. It's individualism versus collectivism. That's what the essential battle is. Even now with Islam, Islam is quintessentially collectivist. There is no unique soul in Islam. So, but the American DNA is freedom. The very founding premise of America was individual rights. The idea of American exceptionalism is individual exceptionalism. Everything magnificent and noble and just and brilliant that America achieved was a logical fidelity to that principle. Why am I going into all this? Because America will not go quietly. No matter what the political elites say, no matter what the media says, I am telling you, there is a movement. And it's not a movement to bash anybody or to ostracize anybody, but it's to preserve individual rights. No special rights for special classes.
You mentioned National Socialism, that there was generally a consensus outside of a few extremes in North America that had to be stopped. Even communism, very influential. I think the mass of people were quite loud in saying this is wrong. But today, I see generally otherwise good, decent people, open-minded people who are not physically afraid, but they are just morally reluctant to criticize Islam. And when you present them with examples of horrors committed in the name of that religion, they say, oh, it must be an exception. These are not the usual suspects. Those I can dismiss. These are actually good people, but they seem to be living in denial.
Well, and it's reinforced on a daily basis. Anybody that speaks candidly about Islam is called a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot. Even though it's not a race, it's an ideology. And so, you know, people are basically good. And they don't want to be called a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot, and it's constantly reinforced. We see it in the Islamicizing of the curriculums in the public schools. We see it in the media, that anybody that speaks out. You know, it's so interesting, it's surreal to hear someone like Anderson Cooper call me a crank. He's an openly gay man. And we know, like in Iran, for example, under the Sharia, they hang gays from cherry pickers and leave them in the public square. In Gaza, they literally take a razor around their face and peel off their faces. And yet he's calling me a crank for defending freedom. Because, you know, I don't care if you worship a stone. Just don't stone me with it. My platform is individual rights. I speak for the smallest minority in the world, and that is the individual. That's it. It's not a religious issue, okay? It's an individual rights issue. And clearly there are no individual rights under the Sharia. And we see the encroaching Sharia in this country. We see it in these hate speech laws that they're trying to advance here. That, to me, is the scariest thing. Mm-hmm. Because, yes, freedom of speech is, as long as there's freedom of speech, you know, I don't care about the Ku Klux Klan or what Islamic supremacists or whatever, whatever they may espouse. I know my ideas are better. I know that I will win. But once free men don't have freedom of speech, then they have to resort to violence. So this is very important. This is the line in the sand. Look, even here now, I'm engaged in a battle. They're running anti-Israel ads in the New York City subways. It says, end, you know, U.S. military aid to Israel. Now, I submitted ads, and my ads were rejected. My ad said, in any war between the civilized man and the savage, side with the civilized man. Support Israel. Defeat jihad. And they have an issue with the word savage. Okay, so they've run ads against Republicans. They've run ads making fun of Tea Partiers. They're running anti-Israel ads. But they have a problem with the word savage and describing jihad. So that, to me, is the Sharia. That's the enforcement of blasphemy laws.
Well, I mean, what is savage about stoning women to death and hanging gay people in public? Will you come back on the show?
Oh, would you have me?
Of course, it'll be a pleasure. You take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Michael.